So today's topic is differential equation. What is a differential equation? Now we have seen what a derivative is. Derivatives such as dy by dx or d square y over dx square, these are the derivative. Any equation that has these derivatives involved is known as a differential equation. Any equation that has these derivative involved is known as a differential equation. Now, when the equation has the first derivative, it is known as the first order differential equation. When it has a second derivative, it is known as the second order differential equation. When you solve, now let me give you an example. For example, dy by dx equals to 3x. This is a first order
First
differential equation.
order.
Yes. And it's an alternate way of representing the relationship between y equals to 3x, y equals to x cube plus c. When you are going to solve this differential equation, you're going to get the relationship between y and x. So solving a differential equation means you need to integrate the differential equation to get the relationship between y and x. Would you agree that the integration of 3x is going to be 3x, sorry, this was 3x squared. So if you integrate this, you're going to get 3x cube upon 3, hence x cube plus a c, right? What is
Yes.
c? C is just an arbitrary constant. C is just an arbitrary constant. Okay, this equation is known as the general solution because we don't know the value of C yet. If we have further information that is going to enable us to find the value of C, and once we have the value of C, let's say C comes out to be 2, for example. So the equation is going to be y equals to x cube plus 2. This is known as a particular solution, right?
Yes.
Now, differential equations are basically excellent mathematical models for many real life situations. And you see, and these are essential to solve many problems. First order differential equation can model rate of change, which means that the rate at which one quantity is increasing or decreasing with respect to another quantity. There are many examples in the physical world that can be modeled using such relationship. जिसमें ये dy by dx is going to be involved, the first order differential equation. Now, for a few examples could be that if you want to model the rate of increase of the number of bacteria in a culture, the other examples involve kinematic problems, the rate of decrease of the value of the car, and the rate at which a hot liquid cools when it is kept into when it is kept on, for example, on table, and it is allowed to cool. All these are real world problems, and they can be modeled using differential equation. Before going towards the application side, let's learn the technique of solving a differential equation. So the technique to solve a differential equation, the technique is known as the technique of separating the variables. For example, if I ask you to solve this differential equation dy by dx equals to 6 times x plus 1 the whole thing square. Now this can be done using an anti-differentiation approach. Anti-differentiation means integration. So what you can do is you can have all the x terms on one side and all the y terms on the other side. The method is known as separating variable, meaning all the y terms on one side and all the x terms on the other side. So if you are going to integrate both sides of the equation with respect to x, for the time for right now I can simplify this out, and what you are going to observe is that you are going to be left with integration of dy is equal to integration of 6 times x plus 1 the whole thing squared dx. There wasn't any term in y involved over here on the right hand side, but we have rearranged this differential equation in such a way that all the x terms are on one side and all the y terms or the constant terms are on the other side. I mean, this left side does not have any x term involved. Now, if I want to get the relationship between y and x, I can simply integrate it. So what is going to be the integration of 1 dy? Integration of 1 with respect to y is, what is going to be the integration of 1 with respect to y?
dy square.
No, it's 1. Acha, what is going to be the integration of 1 dx? If this was the question, what would be the integration of 1 dx? Would you agree that it is just going to be x?
So I don't
Integration
get
of
this.
1 d.
How?
Okay, integration of x with respect to dx. What was the answer to this? You were increasing the answer to this was x square upon 2 plus c, right?
Yes.
Okay, now if there wasn't any x present and you had just 1 over here, then that means that right now it is x to the power of 0. If it is
Yes.
x to the power of 0, when you integrate this, you are going to write x to the power of 0 plus 1, which is x to the power of 1 divided by 1 plus c, right?
Yeah.
So similarly, if I have been asked to integrate 1 dy, so I'm integrating with respect to y, so the integration is going to be simply y. Remember we did implicit differentiation as well, in which we were dealing with such things as integration of 1 dy is going to be y.
Okay, I get this.
Now, what is going to be the integration of 6 times x plus 1 the whole thing square?
18 x plus 1 over 3 times x.
Well, it should be 6 times x plus 1 the whole thing cube upon 3 plus c. You divide it by 3, not multiply by 3, right? In integration.
Yeah.
You raise one, you raise the power of the bracket by 1 divided by the new power plus c. Okay? So you are going to get y equals to 2 times x plus 1 cube plus c. This solution, this is a solution to the differential equation, and this is your general solution because you don't know the value of c over here. If you have the right information to solve for c, you're going to get the particular solution. Is that making sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see another example. dy by dx is equals to xy. Now, this is the differential equation, okay? And we have to integrate this. Like we have to solving a differential equation means to find y in terms of x, find the relationship of y in terms of x. Okay, so the first thing that you are going to do over here is that you are going to separate the variables. This is the technique. Separate variables, meaning you separate the y term, y on the other side and x terms on the other side. So if you take this y on the other side, it's going to be 1 upon y, right?
Yes.
Is equals to x. Now what we are going to do is we are going to integrate both sides with respect to x. So I can just eliminate the dx terms. As a final step, I'm going to write integration of 1 over y dy equals to integration of x dx. So I need to integrate 1 over y with respect to y and integration of x with respect to x. So what is going to be the integration on the left hand side? What is the integration of 1 over y?
1 second. Is it minus half y square minus 1 upon 2y square?
Okay, help me in this. I want you to recall what was the integration of 1 over x?
Oh, ln x?
Exactly. So would you agree that the integration
ln
of
y.
it is going to be ln y, ln y. Let me just write ln y. Okay. Okay. Now, just for the sake of argument, I'm writing a constant over here because I know that whenever you integrate, there is a constant involved. So there should be a constant of integration on the left hand side as well. And there should be a constant. If you integrate the right hand side, you are going to get x square over 2 plus another constant of integration. Okay, but in exams we don't do this. We don't write a and b separately. All you can do is you can just write ln y equals to x square over 2 plus c. If I take this a on the other side, it is going to be subtracted from b, and b minus a is also a constant number. So why should we write separate constant? I can just write one constant, and that is the combined constant c. Do you get the idea? Instead of integrating and writing the constant on both sides, I just write a combined constant on one side of the equation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now how to go about this from this step? Ln y is equal to x square upon 2 plus c. So it's a log equation. You have expressed this as a single log. If you want to solve this further or simplify this further, you can convert this into an exponential equation. Ln is to the base. What is the base of ln? What is
Sorry, sir,
the
could you repeat that?
Sure. What is the base of ln over here?
1.
Well, ln is always to the base e, right? I want you to convert
Yeah.
this log equation to an exponential equation. So I'm going to check ln is to the base e. So e raised to the power of all of this x square upon 2 plus c must be equal to y.
Y.
Okay. Now, if you use the rules of indices, e to the power of x square upon 2, e to the power of c. Can I write this? Can I break this up,
Yes,
break the
sir.
powers as this? E to the power of x square upon 2 times e to the power of c. Now, e is a number, okay? And c is an arbitrary constant. If I raise that number by some constant value, will it give me another constant?
Yes.
So I'm just going to write e to the power of c as d. You can write any constant. So I'm just going to write it this way, d e to the power of x square upon 2. You can write a as well, you can write k as well, any letter that you want, but just indicating that it is also a constant. So that's the general solution of the equation. Okay, that is the general solution of the equation.
Yes, so it wouldn't be the general solution if you didn't make it a constant.
I mean, you mean this is a general solution too? This is one way of writing the general solution. This
Okay.
is another way of writing a general solution. I mean, sometimes the
Okay.
question is going to ask you to show that the solution to the differential equation is something like this. Okay, now comes
Okay.
a particular solution. So if I tell you that when x is 0, y is, let's say, 2. Now solve for the particular solution of the differential equation. When x is 0, y is 2. So you, you could use this equation. This is also the general solution. Ln y equals to x square upon 2 plus c. If y is 2 and x is 0, so 0 square upon 2 is 0 plus c. Therefore, c comes out to be ln 2, right?
So I'm
If
getting e to the power of 0 as 1.
okay, you're using this form or this form. Which form of the general
Um,
solution are you using?
no, so on the calculator, when I do e to the power of 1, it's coming. E to the power of 0, it's coming as 1.
Yes, e to the power of 0 is 1. My question to you is which form of the equation are you using? In which form of the equation are you plugging in the value of x as 0? इसमें आप plug कर रही
Oh,
हो या
this
इसमें
the
plug कर रही
second
हो?
one.
The second one, this one?
The second one.
This one?
So the one that has, yes, this one.
This one. Okay. So even if you're using this form, y equals to d e to the power of x square upon 2. So when y is 2 and x is 0, e to the power of 0 is 1, so d comes out to be 2. So if d comes out to be 2, then the particular solution is going to be y equals to 2 e to the power of x square upon 2. Do you get it now? That's your particular
Yes,
solution.
sir.
That's my particular solution to this first order differential equation. Okay, I'm leaving it over here for the time being. You can note it down. All right. So whatever we have discussed so far as a basic rule, or you can say the steps that you need to remember is that whenever you have a differential equation of the form f of y dy by dx equals to, let's say, some function of x. F of y means function of y, g of x means function of x over here. So you are going to rearrange and then integrate. So in case where the derivative is dy by dx, what you are going to do is you are going to form an expression in x only on one side of the equation, and form an expression in y times dy by dx on the other side of the equation, this gives you the form of the equation that can be integrated on both sides. One side is going to be integrated with respect to x. One side is going to be integrated with respect to x, and the other side is going to be integrated with respect to y. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So this technique is known as separating variable. Now let's look at a few example questions. The variables x and y satisfy the differential equation dy by dx equals to 1 plus x upon 2y. It is given that y is 3 when x is 0. Solve the differential equation and obtain an expression for y in terms of x. Okay, I want you to try this question and then I can help you out. So the question says that the variable x and y satisfy the differential equation dy by dx equals to 1 plus x upon 2y. And you need to solve this differential equation, meaning you're going to apply the technique of separating variables. I can take 2y over there and then I can integrate with respect to x. So I'm going to get integration of 2y dy equals to integration of 1 plus x dx. Integration of 2y is going to be 2y square upon 2. Integration of 1 plus x is going to be x plus x square upon 2 plus c. Am I right?
Yes, sir. That's what I wrote.
So the general solution comes out to be y square equals to x plus x square upon 2 plus c. That's just the general solution. To find the particular solution, what am I going to do? I'm going to plug in y as 3 and x as 0. So plugging y as 3 and x as 0, the value of c comes out to be 9. So y square is equals to x plus x square upon 2 plus 9. As a final step, you are going to write y is equals to x plus x square upon 2 plus 9 to the power of half. Answer. Correct?
Yes, I didn't put it to the power of half though.
But see, the question says find an expression for y in terms of x, not y square in terms of x. Okay? So we
Yes.
are
Yeah.
going to write the final answer as y equals to all of the thing raised to the power of half.
Okay.
Oh, let's try the second one. So the question says find the general solution of the differential equation x square plus 1 times y cube plus x square dy by dx equals to 0. The first step was uh, to apply separating variable in such a way that all the y terms are on one side and all the x terms are on the other side. So if I rearrange this, I'm going to get x square dy by dx equals to negative x square plus 1 y cube. I can take y cube on the left hand side and it's going to be 1 upon y cube, and I can take x square on the right hand side. So this results in minus x square plus 1 upon x square dx. Are you with me till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the same step you can integrate with respect to x. So your integration is going to be for 1 upon y cube dy. If you want, you can simplify this side. X squared upon x squared is 1, so you times by minus, it's going to be minus 1 plus x to the power of negative 2 dx. Vishal, what is the integration of 1 upon y cube?
ln y cube.
No. Think again. Take y cube to the numerator and then solve y to the power of -3.
So y to the power of -2 over -2.
Exactly. Y to the power of -2 upon -2. Okay. Then integration of -1 is going to be -x, and integration of x to the power of -2 is going to be x to the power of -1 over -1 plus c. -1 upon 2y square is equals to this would have been minus. So this is going to be -x plus 1 upon x plus c. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to also pay attention to this step. This step. Over here, when you were separating the variables, you were assuming that the value of y is not 0. You were assuming that y is not equal to 0, because if y would have been equal to 0, okay, then dy by dx would have been come out as 0. If you would have would have taken y as 0, okay, everything would have been 0, and dy by dx would have been 0. By the way, when is dy by dx equal to 0?
When it's at a
When it's
it's at a turning point and stationary point.
yes, and when what can you say about the tangent line? The tangent line is
It's flat.
it's flat, it is horizontal. Okay, so if right now when we were doing separating variable, we assumed to solve this differential equation, we assumed that y is not equal to 0. Okay, but this is not a complete solution. Like this, the solution that you have at the end right now over here is not a complete solution, because you have assumed, you have come to this conclusion by assuming that y was not equal to 0. Okay, however, if y is equal to 0, then we are going to see, is the original equation becoming true? The original differential equation, which was this, okay, if y was equal to 0, would you agree that dy by dx would turn out to be 0 in this case? If I would have assumed y as 0, okay, then dy by dx would have been 0 as well, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
So since y is 0, y equals to 0 is the x-axis, or you can say a horizontal line. We know that the gradient is going to be 0 at all points, and therefore y equals to 0 is also a solution to the differential equation. It's also one of the solution to the differential equation, and therefore it must be also included in the general solution. So the complete answer that you should be writing is -1 upon 2y square equals to -x plus 1 upon x plus c. This is the general solution. Or y equals to 0 is also a solution to this differential equation, because this equation was in such a way, this differential equation, first order differential equation, was in such a way that to solve this differential equation, solving differential equation means you need to uh, find the relationship of y with respect to x. So if you assume that y is not equal to 0, then you get this general solution. And if y was equal to 0, then the dy by dx was coming out to be 0, which is true. So one of the solution is y equals to 0 as well. These both are the solutions. So they must be written together to complete the statement. Okay, that's the final answer over here. So as a final step, when you are finding the general solution in these cases, you must check if the value or the values you have excluded, y was not equal to 0, so you have excluded that. When separating the variables, is it giving you a valid solution of the original differential equation? So in this case, yes, it was giving us the valid solution of the original differential equation. So when they do, we should include them as well. Okay, I want you to note it down, and if you have any questions, please ask. So the next question says it is given that x greater than 0 less than 300, the rate of change of x, meaning dx over dt, is equal to x times 300 minus x upon 600. This is your differential equation. Why is it a differential equation? Because it involves the first derivative, so it's a first order differential equation. You have been given a boundary condition that when x is 50, t is 0. Find a particular solution of the differential equation, giving your answer as an expression for x in terms of t. Obviously, to find the particular solution, we will have to first use the technique of separating variable and find the general solution first. So, dx over dt equals to x times 300 minus x upon 600. What is the first step that should I do?
You use you cross multiply.
Yes, you cross multiply and you separate the variables. Separating variables simply means that you collect all the x terms with the dx and you collect all the constant terms or the t terms with dt in this case. So we don't have any t expression in t, but I can take the expression in x and I can write it like this: 1 upon x times 300 minus x dx equals to 1 upon 600 dt. Do you agree with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then, now I know that I need to integrate both sides. Integration of right hand side is very simple. But what can you do about the left hand side? Integration of 1 upon x times 300 minus x. Can you recall any rule that is applicable to solve this kind of integration expression?
The function one?
Yes. Is there any way to solve this integration? If you just refer to your notes on integration, there isn't any direct rule or form. The denominator has two linear terms. So if you recall, you will have to convert this into partial fraction first to go for integration. Are you getting my point? You have to make partial fraction first before integrating. So over here, we are going to form partial fraction first. Now over here, you need to recall the partial fraction forms. So if you have two linear factors in the denominator, the partial fraction was a upon the first linear factor plus b upon the second linear factor. Remember? Hello?
Yes, I remember. Sorry.
Okay, now I want you to find the value of a and b and convert this into partial fraction. Okay, you do this.
Okay.
I'll wait for the azan to get it. All right. So you mentioned that you are getting a as 1 upon 300 and b as well as 1 upon 300. That's correct. So that is going to make this as 1 upon 300x plus 1 upon 300 times 300 minus x. 1 upon 300x plus 1 upon 300 times 300 minus x. To simplify this, I can take 1 upon 300 as common out as well. If I take 1 upon 300 common, I'm going to be left with 1 upon x plus 1 upon 300 minus x dx equals to 1 upon 600 times integration of dt, 1 dt. Now, you tell me what is the integration of 1 upon x?
ln x.
ln x, very good. And what is the integration of 1 upon 300 minus x?
Is it 300 minus x to the power of minus 2 over, is it 1 over 2 times 300 minus x to the power of 2?
No. See, the reason why you said that the integration of 1 upon x is ln x is because the differentiation of the denominator was present in the numerator. So we have studied that for such kinds of integration, the answer is ln of the denominator. So if you look at 1 upon 300 minus x, the differentiation of minus x is, or the differentiation of 300 minus x is going to be minus 1, but you have plus 1 inside, so you can write minus 1 over here, but then again you have to divide it by minus 1 as well. Okay, so this will make this sign negative, and now you can successfully use ln of 300 minus x. You get my point? Whenever you have the differentiation of the denominator present in the numerator, the answer to this is ln of the denominator.
Yes, I understand. You had to change the sign so that it could be the proper differentiation.
Exactly. Now, 1 upon 600 is a constant value. Integration of 1 dt is t plus c. I'm writing plus c for all the constants together, combined constants. So if I simplify this now, 300 times 1 is 300, 300 times 2 is 600. So the end result could be, well, also you can see over here that if you can apply the property of the log, that when two logs are being subtracted, two
They
logs of the
be
same base are
divided.
being subtracted. Yes, so ln x upon 300 minus x is equals to 1 upon 2t plus c. All right. So that's our general solution. Now, when x is 50, t is 0. So to find the value of c, I'm going to plug in x is 50, ln 50 upon 300 minus 50, 300 minus 50 is 250. This is going to be 0. Yeah, so what is this coming? 50 upon 250 is 0.2. So C comes out to be ln of 0.2. So if C is ln of 0.2, then ln x upon 300 minus x is going to be equal to 1 upon 2t plus ln 0.2. Are you with me till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the next step that I can do? you can convert this into an exponential form, because the question says that give your answer as an expression for x in terms of t. So to give my answer as x in terms of t, I'll have to convert this into an exponential form first. So ln is always to the base e. So e raised to the power of 1 upon 2t plus ln 0.2 is going to be equal to x upon 300 minus x. I'm going to take this on the next page now. This is how we have, where we have reached so far. And you need to make x the subject. Okay. This is a part of the numerator. Now you cross multiply this, and what do you get? X equals to 300 minus x times e to the power of 1 upon 2t plus ln 0.2. Acha, what can you say about e to the power of ln 0.2? Do you remember this property? E
Uh,
raised to the, yeah, e raised to the
yeah,
power
so
of
I think
ln,
I do. Um,
e raised to the power of ln 0.2 is going to be 0.2. Okay. So if I simplify this, e raised to the power of half t multiply by e raised to the power of ln 0.2. This e raised to the power of ln 0.2 is 0.2 times 0.2 equals to x. Now you can just multiply this. 300 minus x times 0.2 e to the power of half t. If you multiply this with 300, what do you get? I'm getting 60. So
yeah.
60 e raised to the power of half t. And if I multiply this with x, I'm getting 0.2 x e to the power of half t. I'm going to collect all the x terms on one side. So x plus 0.2 x e to the power of half t equals to 60 e to the power of half t. You can take x common. You're going to get 1 plus 0.2 e to the power of half t equals to 60 e to the power of half t. To make x the subject, I can take all of this bracket, this entire bracket on the right hand side and make it divide. So 60 e to the power of half t over 1 plus 0.2 e to the power of half t. This should be the final answer. So this is easy, but the working is a little lengthy. This is the particular solution of this differential equation, x in terms of t. So basically, x is a function of time. You see, dx by dt means the rate of change of x with respect to time. So x could be anything. It could be population, it could be the height, it could, I mean, x represent any quantity that is changing with respect to time. So when you solve that differential equation, you get an expression connecting x with time. So by change now in this particular solution, by changing the value of time, you can have the different value of x at that time. Make sense?
So could you repeat the last part again?
Yes, I was trying to say that to begin with, you had in this question, you had the differential equation that was linking x with respect to time. dx by dt means rate of change of x with respect to time. And the differential equation was given to you. When you were able to solve this differential equation, you get a relationship that connects x and t. And x could be any quantity in this question. But how is it varying with time? Using this equation. This equation can be used as a model to, uh, to determine the value of x at different value of time. If you keep on changing the value of t over here, let's say t is 2 or t is 3, you're going to get different value of x each time. So solving from a differential equation, you ended up with an equation that links x with time. You had a differential equation that gave you the derivative of x with respect to time dx by dt. आपके पास उसकी equation थी. When you go for solving differential equation, you get a relationship between x and t now. Now you know how is the quantity x varying with time. So if I ask you how is the quantity x, what is the value of x after t equals to 2? So you are going to simply plug in t equals to 2 in this equation and you are going to get the value of x. Okay. Now, for example, if x was representing a distance, so the question could be how much distance has been covered after when the time is 2 hours? Yeah, after 2 hours. So by plugging t value as 2, you're going to get the value of x, the distance, if x was the distance. If x was the population, the question would have been that after 5 years, how much is the population? So if you are going to plug in t as 5 and you are going to get the value of x. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to go back to the previous slide so that you can note it down?
Oh, so it's fine. I have it down.
You have note. Are you working on this slide or are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, okay. Let us also discuss Newton's law of cooling or heating. Now, this this also involves a differential equation. Well, many differential equations arise from modeling natural laws and relationships. And one of the example is the Newton law of cooling or heating. The Newton law of cooling or heating simply states that the rate of change of temperature of an object is proportional to the difference of the object and its surrounding. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define, I have this object. This is my object and I'm keeping it on a table in my room. Now this object has, okay, I'm going to define T as the temperature of object at any time. T, small t is the time. T naught, okay, so I'm keeping this object, let's say on a table. The moment that I'm keeping this object on the table refers to the initial time t equals to 0, and at t equals to 0 this object has a temperature of T naught. I don't know the value yet, but I'm saying that T naught is the initial temperature at, let's say, time t equals to 0. Okay. And since I'm keeping it in my room, so therefore I'm also going to have a surrounding temperature. So I'm denoting S as the surrounding temperature of the room. Now, if this object was at a temperature higher than the surrounding, what do you think will happen? If this object was at a temperature higher than the surrounding, would you agree that the object is going to dissipate heat energy to the surrounding,
Yes.
and the temperature of the object is going to go down? So I'm going to say that my object is cooling, right?
Yes.
And we are going to examine, I'm going to make up a differential equation to study the rate of the temperature, the rate of change of the temperature. Okay, the rate of the change of the temperature. Okay. Now, vice versa, if this object was at a lower temperature than the surrounding, then that then what is going to happen, that the object is going to take heat energy from the surrounding, and the temperature is going to go up. Then it is going to become Newton law of heating. So it depends on the temperature. If the temperature of the object is greater than the surrounding, it's going to cool down by dissipating heat energy. If it is lower than if the temperature of the object is lower than the surrounding, then it is going to absorb heat energy and the temperature is going to go up. Okay. So the differential equation will involve this dt upon dt, the rate of change of temperature with respect to time. Okay. So the question says that the rate of change of temperature, which is dt upon dt of an object, is proportional. Please focus this on this word. It's proportional. So I'm going to write proportional. It is proportional to what? To the difference of the object, difference of the temperature of the object and its surrounding. I should have write it. Difference in temperature of the object and its surrounding. So what is going to be the difference of the temperature of an object to the surrounding? Capital T minus small s. T stands for the temperature at any particular time, and S stands for the constant temperature of the surrounding. The surrounding temperature is not changing. Would you agree with this proportionality?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now in your O levels as well, you have studied that if you remove the proportionality sign, you will have to introduce a constant, and hence you get the differential equation. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So if you understand this, this is the differential equation that you get from Newton law of cooling. So I'm saying that the temperature of the object is more than the temperature of the surrounding, so it's going to dissipate the energy. Now, if the question says to solve the differential equation, what am I going to do? I'm going to separate the variables, and I'm going to write 1 upon t minus s dt equals to k times small dt. Then once you are done with separating variable, you can integrate both sides, and you are going to get ln of t minus s, because integration of 1 upon t minus s is going to be ln of t minus s. I'm integrating, consider this to be an x, right? So 1 upon t minus s with integration of 1 upon t minus s with respect to dt is going to be ln of t minus s equals to, k is just a constant number, so it can be taken outside the proportionality sign, and you are going to be left with 1 dt. So integration of 1 is t plus c. Are you with me till here?
Yes, sir.
Now, as the next step, you can convert this into an exponential equation. So t minus s is going to be e to the power of kt plus c. The better way of writing e to the power of kt plus c is going to be e to the power of kt plus, e to the power of kt times e to the power of c. And e to the power of c is just another constant, so I'm going to write this as a. So a e to the power of kt is equals to t minus s. So T, the temperature is going to be A e to the power of kT plus S. Okay.
Yes.
Actually. Now, there was a modulus sign actually over here. The reason being that uh, ln of a negative number is not defined. Okay. So I'm assuming that the temperature of the object is much higher than the surrounding temperature. Okay. So this is the general solution. So that was your Newton law of cooling. Can I move on?
Yes, sir.
Have you noted down?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So now, what in the previous slides we learned the differentiation technique using solve. We learned a technique to solve differential equation that was separating variable. Now we are going to be learning forming a differential equation from a problem, and that problem is going to be a real life problem. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, forming a differential equation from a problem. So basically, the key to forming a differential equation from a problem is that you need to successfully interpret the language of the question. For example, when you have a question, something like that, something like this, which says that the rate of increase of the number of bacteria in a dish is k times the number of bacteria in the dish. The number of bacteria present in the dish at time t is x, and the question follows. So by reading the statement, you need to come up with a differential equation. You are going to replace the words such as the number of bacteria in the dish. The number of bacteria in the dish, you can say this is your x. If you say that this is your x, then would you agree that the rate of increase of the number of bacteria in the dish is going to be dx by dt?
Yes, sir.
So dx by dt is k times x. This is how you form a differential equation, right?
Yes.
Now to solve the differential equation, again, we are going to separate the variable 1 upon x dx equals to k times dt. You can integrate this. Again, you are going to get ln x equals to kt plus c. So x equals to e to the power of kt plus c. And you know the working from here. I can say e to the power of c as a. So a e to the power of kt equals to x. Okay. What was x? X was the number of bacteria present. What is t? T is the time. So if you know the value of a and k in the equation, you have an exact particular relationship between how the bacteria is changing with time. So in the question, we know that the rate of increase. So that's why please understand that you have a positive number over here. If there was a rate of decrease in the question, you're going to write dx over dt equals to negative kx. Because the rate is decreasing, so you are going to incorporate a negative sign. If the rate is increasing, you are going to write a positive sign. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so again, you have a general solution over here. And to find the particular solution, you will be given the values in the question. So now we are going to move on to the examples. Okay, can you see the question correctly?
Yes, sir.
The question is saying, velocity is defined to be the rate of change of displacement with respect to time. The velocity of the particle at time t second is inversely proportional to its displacement s meter from an origin O. By reading this statement, what is the differential equation that comes to your mind?
Um, T is inversely proportional to S. So, dt over dx.
Or you can say, we know that, just a second, we know that velocity is the rate of change of displacement, okay? So when they are talking about the velocity of a particle, they are basically talking about ds by dt. ds by dt is inversely proportional to its displacement simply means that ds by dt is inversely proportional to s. So you write proportional to 1 upon s, right?
Yes.
So if you want to make it a equation, what do? You replace it with a constant number and you write s in the denominator. The first part was to represent to form a differential equation to represent this data. Okay. And
Okay.
at till first part A, you do not have sufficient information to find the value of k. So you are going to leave your differential equation like this. Otherwise, if the information would have been given over here in the question and then you would have been asked to find the differential equation, then you will be able to find the value of k. But right now you are not able to find the value of k, so the differential equation is simply going to be ds over dt equals to k upon s. That's it. Okay. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, further the question says, initially the particle has a displacement of 2 meters from O. Now, what do you understand by initially? At what time are they talking about?
0 seconds.
Yes. Initially would imply that at t equals to 0, the particle has a displacement of 2 meters from O. After 1 second, the particle has a displacement of 5 meters from O. Solve the differential equation giving your answer in the form of t equals to f of s. So you need, in this question, you need to make t the subject. Are you getting it? You need to make
Yes,
t
sir.
the subject. So t is a function of s. So t should be expressed as a function of the displacement. So let's start the working. I have the differential equation with me and I am going to solve the differential equation. Solving the differential equation will take place by separating the variable first. So s times ds equals to k times dt. You have separated the variables. Now you are going to integrate this. If I integrate s with respect to ds, I'm going to get s squared upon 2. K is just a constant number. So that is going to be k times t plus c. So far with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you are going to use the boundary conditions given in the question. The question has a boundary conditions saying that initially, meaning at time t equals to 0, the displacement was 2. And at time t equals to 1, the displacement was 5. Right? So you can see that there are two unknowns in this question. K, you don't know the value of K and you don't not know the value of C. That's why they have given you two sets of data to solve them simultaneously, you can say. Okay. So when S is 2, T is 0. So C comes out to be 2.
2.
Right. If C is 2, then the equation is going to be KT plus 2. And now if I use S as 5 and K as T as 1, what is the value of K coming out?
25.
No.
Oh, sorry.
5 squared is 25 upon 2. 25 upon 2 minus 2. 25 upon 2 is 12.5. 12.25 minus 2 is 10.5.
Yeah.
So I'm using the next page now. So once I know everything, the equation is going to be s squared upon 2 equals to 10.5 t plus 2. Now 10.5 is a decimal value. I can write it as 21 upon 2 t plus 2. The question has asked me to express t in terms of x, so I have to make t the subject. So simplify this equation. T comes out to be s square minus 4 upon 21. Please check this.
Yes.
So we have solved the differential equation and express our answer in the form t equals 2 as a function of s. Now going back, the next part says find t when the displacement of the particle from O is 10 meters. So it's a simple question. When the displacement is 10 meters, I need to find the value of time. So I'm just going to plug in SS 10. What answer do you
Uh,
get?
32 over 7, which is 4.57.
4.57. Yeah, 4.57 seconds. The time was in seconds. Okay. So three significant figures, the time is going
Okay.
to be 4.57 seconds. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Do you understand how to go about differential equation questions now?
Yes.
I would like you to try this now. The question says the population density P of a town can be modeled as a continuous variable. In the year when records began, the population density P of the town was increasing at a rate of 0.5 people per hectare per year. It's a population density. So population density is basically the population divided by the area. Okay. So for that particular region, for that particular area, how much population is residing in that particular area, that is population density for that particular area. That's why you have per hectare means hectare is a unit for the area. The population density of the town was 2 people per hectare. The population density of the town was 2 people per hectare. It is suggested that T years after records began, the rate of increase of the population density is inversely proportional to the square of the population density. So if you interpret the question correct, you will be able to form a differential equation that dp over dt is is inversely proportional to the square of the population. So this means dp upon dt is equals to k upon p square. This is your differential equation. The first part says form a differential equation for this model. Now we are not done yet because we can use the information to find the value of k over here. Okay, this is not the final answer for the first part. The final answer is going to be when you are able to find the value of k. So the question has mentioned that uh, when t is 0, the the population density P of the town was increasing at a rate of zero point 0.5 people per hectare per year, and the population density of the town was 2 people per hectare. So they have given you that when P is 2, dP over dt is
0.5.
0.5. Using this information, if I plug these values, 2 square, so K value comes out to be, what is 4 times 0.5? It's 2.
2.
So therefore, dP upon dt, the rate of change of population density is k upon, sorry, 2 upon p square. Were you successfully able to do this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the second part says solve the differential equation giving our answer in the form of p is equals to f of t. So we need to make p the subject. I'll have to solve this differential equation. I have limited space on this slide, so I'm taking this part to the next slide. You're going to separate the variables. Okay. After integration, is this what you're getting?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at time t equals to 0, what was the population? Population was 2. Population density was 2. At time t equals to 0. In the
Yeah.
year when the records began, so
That's
initially
0.
t equals to 0, the population density was 2 people per hectare. So 2 cube upon 3 is equals to 2 times 0 plus c. C comes out to be 8 upon 3. So that's going to be p cube upon 3 equals to 2t plus 8 upon 3. Then, if you rearrange, since the question has asked you to express p as of p in terms of t, you're going to right? P cube equals to 6t plus 8, and P is going to be 6t plus 8 to the power of 1 upon 3. Fine. That's your population density expression.
Okay.
Let me know when you are done.
Oh, yes, I have it down.
All right. Now the last part says the table shows the actual population density of the town every 5 years for the first 20 years after records began. Comment on how good a fit the model is to the actual data in the longer term. So I'm going to copy this table down and we are going to make some analysis on this. This table is actually giving you the actual findings. So actual population density, see, a model is just used for prediction, all right? But there is a possibility that the model may not be accurate or may not be accurate because realistically something else, some other factors might have impacted, something else would have happened. So these are the measured values, and if you use this formula it is going to give you the calculated values. So we need to find out that how good is this model with respect to our findings over the first 20 years. So what we are going to do is that we are going to calculate the values. We are going to have more. I'm writing model meaning the values obtained from model. So Michelle, I want you to take the value of t as 5 and
Yeah.
plug this in this equation of our model.
I'm getting
What
3.36.
3.36. So round this to one decimal place, that is 3.4. Okay. Then take the value of t as 4.
3.91.
3.91.
When
Let me
t is
solve.
10.
6 times 4 is 24. 24 plus 8 raised to the
Oh, so
power
sorry,
of
sorry.
1 upon 3.
I'm getting 4.08.
T is 10, right?
Yeah.
68 to the power of 1 upon 3 is 4.08. So that is going to be 4.1. Then when t is 15, what are you getting?
So I'm getting 4.6, but let me just double check. I think I did that wrong. Yeah, so I'm getting 4.6.
Okay. Now when t is 20, what is the value?
5. Yeah, 5.
Okay, 5.0. Now can you observe that in the longer run, when time is increasing, the the
Answers are
difference
more.
between the model value and the observed value is changing. Like it's not
Yeah.
close enough. So if now I would have taken 25 years, the value still would have been different. There would have been a gap, a larger gap in the two values. So for short time, the values were close enough, but for longer run, this model is not a good representation. Okay, it's not a good fit as the values it generates when time increasing underestimated are underestimates of the known data. So you can write in the longer term, the model is not a particularly good fit why? Because as the values it generates when time increases are
Yeah.
underestimates of the known data.
Same my transcript and now inside my application.
Do you get this?
Yes, sir.
So our model values are basically giving us the underestimate of the values. So this is not a good representation for like more than 15 years. For more than 10 years actually. Till 10 years it was close enough, but after 10 years it is giving us a lower underestimate of the result. So it's not a good representation in the longer run. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.